All right, get started. Good afternoon. It is 2:30 on Wednesday, January 14th, 2026. This meeting of the Sandpoint Parks and Recreation Commission is now called to order. For the record, I am Chairman Taylor Long, residing in the City Council chambers at City Hall, 1123 West Lake Street in Sandpoint, Idaho. Commission members present are Donenfeld, Glenn Victorson, Jessica Jensen, Josh DeLucci, Tyler Wagner, Katie Bohall, and Dan.
Oh, Dan, yeah.
Okay. So does anybody have any public comment that's not related to the RV park? Or is everybody here to hear about the RV park and or speak about the RV park? Okay. We're gonna get to that. First, we're just going to, well, I would entertain a motion to approve the minutes from the past meeting.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, motion passes. Minutes are approved.
Who did the second?
I believe that was Josh.
Josh. Sorry, it's kind of directions there.
And for the record, Lori and Dan had to join us.
Full commission, first time in a while.
Yes. You wanted to do some staff updates?
Yeah,
Jason?
thanks, Chair Long. Before we get into the main agenda, I just want to give an update, and then we're going to have Colton give an update on staffing as well. December 26th, we had a party a little earlier, but we bid farewell to Austin Hull, our parks supervisor of 27 years. Austin was just an amazing wealth of knowledge about the parks. He knew where all the pipes and all the bodies were buried. But we promoted, as everybody knows, Colton, who's now on probably week 5 of his job here at the new Parks and Buildings and Grounds supervisor. Soon after Austin's retirement, we had one other retirement. Yeah. So one other retirement, Todd Converse, who had worked at the parks for 15 years, retired on January 2nd or 3rd. So that meant there were 2 openings in the parks team. So I'm going to hand it off to Colton in a minute, but before I do, I'll update you on some other parks capital projects that are planned for 2026. You'll recall that the 3 priorities for this year, in addition to addressing the RV park, which is the main topic of today's discussion, were basketball court rehab, preliminary planning design for a Euclid waterfront park at the end of the Euclid right-of-way. I've gotten the green light from the mayor to proceed with planning efforts around that. So that's something we'll take on in the spring. And the exploration of non-motorized watercraft storage at City Beach. So the basketball courts is the biggest one. We have around $100,000 to $110,000 budgeted to rehab all of our outdoor courts. I'm very excited to say that we are now under contract for the asphalt resurfacing of the Pine Street courts here across the street. The other 2 basketball courts did not need a new asphalt coat. They had very minimal cracking, but the paint was completely worn out. So we're under contract to not just paint lines, but basically do a full color. We can choose the color. That's something we'll discuss at a future meeting. What colors do we want these basketball courts to be? We're going to do full sealing of the basketball courts, all 4 of our basketball courts, and then new lines painted on the basketball courts as well. The final component of that project is new hoops. We're going to go with very modern, like full-size NBA regulation basketball hoops with breakaway rims so that we can have real competitive basketball. I think I grew up playing basketball. One of the things basketball players really hated, those really stiff rims that when a ball hits, the ball just launches 15 feet off to the side. So we're going to correct that, put proper, modern, like top of the line basketball hoops in with breakaway rims. That whole project with the asphalt, the painting, the resealing, the stripes, hoops, it's going to come in around $110,000. So that's a pretty major, going to be real a benefit for all the kids in the city parks. We haven't ordered the hoops yet, but our procurement officer has been given about 5 different options, and she's gonna be doing some price comparisons and get some quotes. I think that's it for Parks Capital Project updates for me, so we'll let Colton talk about this park staffing updates.
I'm the building and ground supervisor. Past 2 weeks, we've been conducting interviews and found 2 really good candidates. We offered them full-time positions. One, Edward, he'll be starting on the 20th. And then Chase, he will be starting on the 26th. Gonna get them caught up to speed and be able to really start jumping in on a lot of these projects. They're both kind of younger guys, but looking for a career path. And I think that this is gonna fit them really well, and they're gonna fit our team really well. Excited to have them, and everything goes according to my brain, at least. It should go a certain way, so I'm hoping it goes that direction, and it's gonna kind of jump in and sink or swim, I guess.
I think the median age on the parks crew just fell by about 35 years.
Yeah.
They're young, they're both early 20s, but they come with a lot of skills.
Yeah.
I forgot, my other update was, and this is actually, it's not an action item, but it may be at the next meeting. The Historic and Arts Commission met yesterday, and they are interested in doing an artistic application on the Court of City Beach. So they're gonna first see if funding's available for that from SURA, since that's within the urban renewal boundary. It's not a huge, a few $1,000s probably for an artist to come in and paint something, not on the entire court, but I think this body has already talked about how we want to limit that to maybe within the 3-point zones or the center circle or somewhere. Riverfront Park in Spokane recently painted a bunch of their outdoor courts, and if you've seen it, it's a bit overwhelming. Like literally every square inch of the court is painted in some sort of Jackson Pollock style modernistic art piece. So I think if we do this first, the commission's going to request funding. If funding's available, this commission will work with the Arts Commission to come up with a cool concept for what sort of artistic application we can do at City Beach inside some areas of the basketball court there.
It looks like Gwen has a comment there.
Go ahead, Glenn.
Gwen, you're muted if you're speaking. Double mute.
I was just curious if there's an update on I believe I missed last meeting, but the meeting before we talked about like a recreation supervisor type position.
Yeah, good question. I've emailed the mayor. He's, as you know, he's part-time mayor, so I haven't heard a reply yet. I just sent him a letter a couple days ago, proposing a path forward for how to bring back select recreation programs this year. That's going to relate to Ryan's update. So I'll probably wait till Ryan gives his update on performance at the sports center. But that's a big goal this year as well, is to bring back some rec programs that we've had to shutter. But maybe I'll piggyback on Ryan's update because he'll have some numbers to share that relate to that. Funding is the question there, Gwen. But funding is becoming available. So that's it for staff updates.
Colton, did you have anything more?
I'm playing with loading some slides up and getting to see what they look like on the screen. I want to give everybody kind of a quick heads up. This is this morning out of JR. You see there's 3 white boxes on that whole schedule. So there were 3 courts available when we opened the doors. So I'm getting some feedback now. Hey, how come I can't play in here? How come I can't walk in? How come I can't do whatever? And I want to throw out to you guys, and if you're hearing that, yes, there was still some play available in this morning. This is jumping ahead to next Wednesday. All of the stuff on there is basically programming that I've got going, and look, the entire core of that is white. So anybody can book courts. They just have to look ahead a little bit. And so if you're getting feedback that, oh my gosh, this place is too busy, and now, we need something to change the other way, just look ahead a little bit. That's what it looks like. And you can always look in Core Reserve and see that. When that starts getting full, 7 days out, then I know, we need to make some adjustments, some changes. But I just really wanted to kind of show the visual on that there were 3 courts available today if somebody wanted to play. But looking forward to next Wednesday, if you want to book, it's totally there. So right now,
Right.
Yes.
Just want to check with the chair. Are we on to item 2 now? You might want.
Old business, yeah.
Yeah. I want to make sure we're following
Well-
procedures here.
Of course, yeah, thank you. No, well, did anybody, I guess we should jump back. Did anybody have any questions for Colton or on staff updates before we move on to the next order?
Josh has got his hand up. Josh has his hand. Go ahead, Josh.
My question was for Ryan, actually. So
Okay, okay, well, we'll move on,
To finish up?
to finish up.
Sweet.
Yep.
So this graph shows the last 4 months of last year, and then the black bar is attendance this year. Hard to read again. I have had 903 people check in the first 2 weeks of January. That's what that bar represents there. So can you say we've got 2 weeks left? We'll be, 16, 1800, 2000. I don't know what it will look like. We have presidents coming up. So that blue bar represents, the growth in attendance since we launched this platform and since we really kind of got up to speed. And so I would expect to see another record-setting month in there as far as attendance is concerned. We brought 59 people over from the old system when that little tiny blue bar started. And this morning I had 681 people in the Court Reserve platform. So we are really coming up to speed on that. It is very busy, just like that first slide showed. I mean, you can walk in there anytime and you see full courts, lots of people having fun. It's hard to change over from, 1 hour to the next hour when we have a switch over, hustling people off, hustling people in. So if you've got a chance to come in there, it definitely feels like a completely different space. So far this month, our revenue to date in that first 2 weeks is $8,018. Up against our biggest month we had kind of all last winter was $11,000. I'm going to try to shift into jumping straight into the Court Reserve platform really quick. And I'm going to see if this will work on here and just show you some live data in that platform. Wake up, computer. It's trying to jump over. Come on, I know you want to show it on my screen. Close this. It's just showing that screen. Hey, Josh, you want to ask your question while I'm catching
yeah,
up?
sure. Yeah,
Yeah.
just wanted to clarify something you said earlier about anyone can reserve. I thought it was just members that could reserve courts. Is that changed or am I mistaken there?
So you're right. If you're a paying member, you have the right to reserve either 7 or 14 days out. But what we're letting our guests do is email the jersports@sandpointidaho.gov. And if they see those white boxes on there and they're like, hey, we want to head over, or people want to walk in, we will certainly reserve that court for them. But I
Okay.
wouldn't book something for next Wednesday, for somebody that was a guest. And that's really driving the memberships because people are looking at that now. They can't walk in. They can't just like they used to just play anytime they want. And so now they're realizing that maybe a $39 City of Sandpoint membership makes sense for them if they're a resident because now they can book and do that. So that's a big component of the revenue that we're seeing is people want those courts. They want to know they're playing. And, you look at a full screen like that and go, wow, I guess I have to pay to play a little bit now. So
Yeah.
worth.
Okay. Thank you.
You only shared. Share your screen.
So you showed like a week comparison. What would it look like if you wanted to reserve on Friday? Would it look like a hybrid?
Friday's a little bit more filled, but
Hybrid of the
basically
two,
24 hours
basically.
out. People are looking at this in a 24-hour time frame. So this is one cool thing of Court Reserve. So this is my daily revenue for December. And so it actually gives me, a bullet point of what I did. And so in December, we brought in $14,970. That's up against our biggest month ever, 11. And I can go back and now I have data to look at that. If I go back to November now, then November was our kind of record-breaking month. We had a $17,600 month on December. So you can see kind of the peaks and valleys of that. But we are really hitting our stride. I think Jason will speak to the point that, $17,000 is full cost recovery. I'm going to sit down with the finance team tomorrow and kind of look at some numbers and see some of the costs and the way things are and know exactly what that number is. And I can bring that back to you. But we are launching a small pop-up sports retail shop. The nice thing is with that, there's no costs added to the city. We already have the space. I'm bringing in we're not paying to get a cabinet in there. We're just bringing in some merchandise to sell. All of that money I will be kind of rolling back into upgrading nets, that type of thing. We're going to have to move some of these nets down to City Beach come springtime, all that stuff. So what I'm trying to do is build into the system revenue that will, help offset costs coming forward and planning upgrades and things in there. So watch for that little pro shop to pop up next week. But really, if you have any pushback of it's too busy in there, it's not happening, and it is busy and it's great to see, but that's what everybody asked for and that's what everybody wanted. And I think as we continue to see more and more people, joining, I think our revenue will hold. And then just coming up with some planning. We were just talking about working with the Y to do some summer camp stuff in there and whatnot to fill the building during the summer when everybody wants to be outside and just fill that little gap. I don't think we're gonna have any problems with winters and the shoulder season going forward and just budgeting for what we're gonna do during the summer. Any other questions?
I know Gwen has a question there. It's hard to see when you're sharing
Yeah.
your screen.
Looks like Eric's got.
Hi, Gwen.
Hey there. Thank you for your update and congratulations on such an awesome improvement. It's really awesome to just see and hear. I was approached by a user group, user group, and they were interested in running a program in there. And it sounds like you guys have had some conversations with them. And I couldn't locate what the group user rates are. And then I also couldn't answer the question of if it's just City of Sandpoint residents, youth who get to use the facility for free if they're doing court sports, or can it be any sport in the facility? And now that it's getting more busy, like what is the take on, a multi-use facility versus specifically court sports in there?
Sure. As far as the free use is concerned, youth are always free. So up to 18 years old are free, but that is pickleball and tennis. So we are only doing, those two court sports and scheduling for that. You see the schedule's completely booked up with that. We just got a message from lacrosse that they would like to come in there up until tennis starts up. We are going to be launching our Sandpoint High School kids are going to be in there for the tennis season. So that takes up a big chunk of that afternoon time for their practices. But I have futsal going on in there right now. So they have two courts booked. They're playing futsal is basically indoor soccer. So that's going on, and we will have some lacrosse going on in there. As long as we can set up and take down relatively quickly, it isn't a huge task to make that work. Now, if we have to take down tennis nets and that type of thing, it really changes the ball game. And I will send out Jason's fee schedule for the rec center. But basically, it works out to be about $40 an hour per court if you want to reserve that space for another group. And that is pickleball or tennis. And then it's $80 an hour if you want to be doing it for some other sport. So, and people are paying those fees. That is some of the revenue that we've seen come in because people are still willing to use that space. But the kids are always free. I don't have like a City of Sandpoint rec time that is free right now. We dropped that, and then I didn't really hear any pushback from that. If people are interested in that, or you hear from people that they want that going again, let's talk about that. But we had 3 sessions that went absolutely unattended. And so we dropped it, and then I didn't hear any pushback on that. So we just kind of let that slip away. We are getting a bunch of people on the walking track. I would love to see some attendance numbers on that. I need to figure out a way to track that because we're not requiring payment or anything. It's free for anybody to walk in. that would also add numbers to the numbers I just shared with you, with just the walkers that are coming in there now, the snow's flying. Did I answer all your questions, Gwen?
Yes, and from what I'm understanding, if you're going to email out the group rates, they are not available on the City of Sandpoint website. In groups, it's
They
like,
absolutely are. They're
oh,
published
they
in
are.
they're published in our fee schedule along with all other city fees. So anybody can Google City of Sandpoint fee schedule and they have all the JER fees. We just don't include them on the Court Reserve app because nobody looking to book courts for lacrosse practice is going to download Court Reserve, which is for tennis and pickleball.
Will you just
So
throw
that's-
that link in for handiness
I'll have
when you send
Tammy
out?
send it. Sure.
Okay. Okay. Thank you.
Mhm.
Eric?
I had pretty much the same questions, but I wanted to know how the other sports are going. My concern was it's so easy for them to damage one of those upper fans, and it seems like it's going well. Is that correct, Ryan?
It's going okay. We are seeing some damage to the tennis nets, not taking them down. Kids will step on them and kind of slide through them as they're running in there. And it is putting a different level of marking and use on the courts. So it definitely creates another level of cleanup in there. And then, sadly, kids aren't as careful with their shoes and what they're wearing and coming in with clean shoes. And so you get a large group of kids in there that just unloaded from the car and ran through the mud and went straight out on the court. There is a different level of use that facility is seeing. Plus, in the lobby where we don't have a lot of space, we get a lot of moms without room to kind of spread out, and the other kids are running around. So now that the playground's closed outside and there's nothing really they can do run around outside, the inside lobby becomes the new playground. So it's just working those things out and figuring it out. But it is a different level of use than just your tennis or pickleball players that walk in with their bag, throw in the locker, and go out and hit a ball for 2 hours. So certainly.
I had a question.
Shoot.
When we were looking at that revenue, you were saying the 17,000, that was your highest month. And then I just wanted to make sure that I heard you correctly, that your break even is about 17,000. Is that what you were saying?
So
In the winter?
70,000 per month.
Per month.
year-round Average.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a year-round average.
$200,000
Okay. I didn't know if it was different in,
Yeah.
with utility.
So I want to talk about that briefly. Brian, do you know the current number of renewed monthly or annual members who are not just guest members, but they're paying a membership fee? I think we're like 220 something.
Yeah, we're getting really close to 250 paid members.
Okay, so
Out of that 680.
Yeah, so I can read you exactly. So it's coming up on the screen right now. So I have 300 guest members to that facility right now.
these are people who have the app on their phone. They come in, they play,
And they pay
but
$15.
they pay $15 every time they come in.
And we're converting those people very rapidly to
And
membership.
they can't make reservations
Correct.
on the app.
But you do have annual membership, so then you'd be getting that revenue.
Yeah, so I have annual for City of Sandpoint, Bonner County, and then we have monthly memberships. And then I have still the existing annuals in there. So looking at that, we're getting close to 250 paid members when I started with 59.
So just some numbers here. The annual operating cost is right around $200,000. That includes all the salaries and wages, the energy cost, everything that goes in there, the basic maintenance, equipment, and so on. To achieve that, we need to hit about just under $17,000 a month on average. So our busiest month ever is $17,000. But what we're looking at is the trajectory, the rate of growth, right?
Sure.
And the reason that number is going to keep going up and then stabilize is because we've gone from 59 members at the end of September to 240 members today. That's renewed monthly paying. Their cards are getting charged every month. That's generating revenue. When we get to 300, our baseline revenue without any additional use of the facility is going to be about $13,500. Okay. Every month we'll make 13, even if no one walks through the doors, as long as they're not canceling the memberships, we'll make $13,500. And then you've got guest members paying $15 per visit. You've got events, you've got special events that go on in there. You've got the leagues, you've got the clubs, you've got tournaments, you've got soccer and lacrosse and other sports. So that baseline revenue of $13,500 that's where we'll be when we hit 300 members. 2 years ago, we were saying 300 is the number to target in terms of renewed members. We can get there.
Is there,
We will get there. before summer, I believe.
Sorry, I mean, yeah.
So that relates to the question asked earlier as well, but let's ask, go ahead and Taylor, ask your question first.
Yeah, is there a program, are we trying to sell people on the annual memberships? Because I imagine if they're like me, you know, in my Netflix, I watch what's on and then I cancel. And I can see the same thing happening in the summertime
fact,
Going
when
month
they
to
can
month.
play outside,
Feb-
right?
February 4th, we're holding a public hearing to amend the fee schedule to get rid of the month by month option, which is $20 more per month than an annual option. And we have very few people who have selected that. But other clubs, what they do is they only have an annual option, and then you can pause your membership. If you're a seasonal resident, you can pause it for a very minimal fee. So we're proposing a $15 member pause fees for people who might travel for a month or they're going, you know, snowbirds. And then if they do not select that $15 pause fee, they pay a $100 reactivation fee. This is like what every private club in the country does. Reactivation fee. What we don't charge is an initiation fee, which most clubs do as well. So we want to make it cheap and attractive for people to join. But then if you want to pause your membership, $15 a month, and you can come in and play during that month. You're just going to pay the $15 guest fee during that month. So we've been looking at other clubs popping up. And just mind you, other pickleball clubs in the region, some new ones which have opened in Spokane, our baseline membership fee is about 60% lower than what private clubs are charging. So we are a screaming deal for pickleball and tennis enthusiasts in the region. That's why we have members come. We have, how many members from Canada do we have now who are Canadian citizens who drive down?
And I just got a call from Newport, and there's a small club over there that they put their membership on hold for a few months, and they're all, how can we come over? How can we book courts? We want to bring a busload of people over there 2 times a day to play. And so, but to Jason's point, the Canadians that are coming down, you know, everything up there in the winter is hockey. And so to have a space for them to play, we're getting 8 to 10 a week coming in, you know, driving all the way down from Creston and that area to play. And our web is finally, you know, reached out where now people know we've got this regional world-class facility that people will drive to. And we just never got that marketing out, you know, 6 months ago. And so now that the word is out that, oh my goodness, there's a, you know, top-notch place to play pickleball or tennis, and it's super cheap compared to whatever else anybody's been playing at. People are willing to get in the car and come see us.
So
You're saying that the annual membership, I would save $20 per month if I sign up for an
the
annual.
cheapest month by month membership is $59. That's $39 if you commit to a year.
Yeah, that's
I
a
feel
good
like
way.
you give a
That's
sales pitch for
no, but
everybody.
it's a good way to get that. I mean, it's a good way to solidify like a continual income in those annual
Yeah, exactly.
memberships.
Totally.
Yeah.
That's why most people don't, you know,
Yeah.
subscribe to Netflix 1 month at a time, right?
Yeah.
We want to be the Netflix of sports facilities.
Well, I wanted to just also say like, congratulations, like
Yeah,
you put in a lot of work
It's
and
very
it's
evident.
definitely evident, like she was saying. So good job.
So I'll quickly answer the question that was asked earlier about rec. Who asked that question? Was that Josh or Gwen? About rec, the rec program. Eric asked that third time's charm. So Eric, you asked about staffing for recreation beyond the sports center. Part of the, well, there's, you know, philosophies and ideologies at City Hall about what the role of government is, but I also think that most of our council agree that offering recreation programs to the broader community beyond just tennis and pickleball is a valuable function of government. So to that end, I'm proposing that we bring on a recreation coordinator or a recreation professional who can start organizing limited recreation programs again. And my argument to the mayor for that rationale is that this sports center is no longer, or soon is no longer going to be requiring a subsidy from the recreation fund. So just to remind everybody, no general fund dollars have gone to support the James E. Russell Sports Center. The recreation fund has been covering the shortfall in operating costs at the James E. Russell Sports Center because it's a recreation facility. So that's a recreation funds all over the place too. Some cities own aquatic centers, some cities own indoor gyms. We have a sports center that is being supported by recreation revenues. And recreation revenues are generated from 4.5% of property tax collections in the city of Sandpoint go into a recreation fund dedicated only for the provision of recreation activities for the community. So my approach with council is going to be, look, the sports center is no longer requiring nearly as large a subsidy as it did 6 months ago. When 6 months ago, before Ryan started, we were on track to require over $100,000 subsidy from the recreation fund. So as we approach full cost recovery at the sports center, those recreation dollars really should be put back into recreation programming beyond just the sports center. So I've proposed a couple different options for how to bring a recreation professional back to the city of Sandpoint so that we can start offering adult softball, adult volleyball, beach volleyball, what other programs, flag football, ultimate frisbee. We've offered so many different programs over the years to the community. My goal is to start with adult softball because that's one that always was, full rosters every year. And also adult softball pretty much pays for itself because the each team pays, $650 that covers the cost of running that program. So the fact is we just don't have somebody on staff who can do that right now. Ryan's hands are full operating the sports center. I'm not a recreation professional. Cammie's our admin assistant who does so much, but we really need a recreation professional. So we'll be advertising for that position pretty soon, or possibly promoting somebody into that position at City Hall. So, and the goal is 300 members. We're at full cost recovery at the James Russell Sports Center. We're at 230, 240 right now. So we're on track to be at full cost recovery by the summer. So.
And that was in a very short amount of time. So, yeah, in 4 months, we've moved that quickly. I just handed out the hot off the press. I just printed it out upstairs newsletter. I will post that on the city's website and on Facebook as soon as I get back to the center. But this is kind of our big what's happening. I know you guys wanted to hear some feedback on the events, the leagues, the kids events, all that's on the front page. And then there's some pictures from last month on the back. So enjoy that. And there's no other questions.
Commissioner Donenfeld, do you have something?
Yeah, I just want to say thank you. Yeah, I'm big into bringing sports back for the adults in the community. The main reason is if you think about this is all these teams don't have a place to play. It's very complex to use the city system, and the majority of them can come up with their own leagues, but it's so much cost to have insurance to umbrella the whole small team or small league. It just dollars don't make sense. That's why I think that this is something that the city needs to put on. It's always done it traditionally. I think that there's a value added commodity to the people, and a lot of it will pay for itself. Almost every one of these leagues will pay for themselves, but the insurance is the real cost that prohibits these small leagues from existing in the community.
It's a great point.
Ben?
Anybody else have any other questions before we move on?
I do have one other quick question kind of following up. I was approached by some folks who are interested in basketball programs for youth, and they were feeling a little bit like not informed that the city was not going to offer these programs anymore. I was curious, what's the city's approach to communicating with these user groups, especially as it relates to a timeline? Because like Eric said, if the timeline is further out, maybe just letting some of the groups know with more advance notice that the city can't offer it, but here's our timeline. Maybe some of them will take it on. But to me, like I do get approached by people who are like, there's no communication. And I'm curious if, Cammie, you're getting phone calls of people who are surprised there aren't leagues and surprised there aren't opportunities that have been there in the past, and what we're doing to actively communicate to the city of Sandpoint residents at a minimum.
Well, there's not much to communicate right now because we haven't hired a rec professional, but once we do, there will be more communication around recreation.
Has it been about a year since some of those, or how long's it been since, like, there was
We
no,
had an adult volleyball league last winter.
okay, there was no youth basketball last winter. I think. It's been a couple of years.
Yeah.
Softball, nothing last summer.
An observation too.
Sure.
Sure, Carrie, go ahead.
Thank you. Also just,
Can you state your name for that?
Carrie Logan. Also a little bit about the history of establishment of the recreation fund. It was established with the purpose of making provision for recreation programs. So this is an outside the scope of why that fund was created.
Oh, of course, yeah.
That's an important thing to remember, I think.
Thanks, Carrie. Okay.
So I guess just Jason, following up, you do feel like the city is communicating to the user groups, like what our plan is and how long it's going to take to start to offer what we have previously offered. And maybe the folks who I'm bumping into just aren't part of that communication, but we do feel good about the communication that's out there.
No, there's no communication with the user groups. I mean, there's no one at the city in recreation beyond who you see at this table and the front
Right.
desk
Okay.
of the sports center.
Mhm.
So we don't have a recreation coordinator who would do that communication.
Right.
So no, I mean,
I do try and field the phone calls that come
Yeah.
in, but I'd say I maybe get one every couple months. Mostly just from the citizens.
Yeah, I think just proactively something to think about is like a way to communicate to the user groups because like, you know, um, with a plan and a timeline. And if we aren't able to start taking some of this on, you know, in the next few months and it's going to be a little bit longer, it might just be nice for them to know because some of the user groups might be able to like take on more things. Like the person I was talking to was about basketball and they were wondering why the open gyms aren't going on anymore. And, you know, just in a little bit of conversation, I was like, boy, I wonder if basketball school Sandpoint would take on that open gym thing on Saturdays and Sundays, and they're just not aware. And I get it; it's a big coordination effort and whatnot. But I was just curious about the communication.
So with regards to basketball, I have had a community member who's asked to ask the city whether we would host open gym basketball again. I actually reached out to the school district, and TJ, the athletic director, recommended that I put that person in touch with the school district because the school district owns the gyms. We don't have any basketball facilities in the city, so it's kind of we were kind of acting as a middleman with coordinating gym space with the schools, but the school district's happy to coordinate that directly with the user groups as well. So I put the user who is reaching out to me in touch with TJ to just
Sure.
start coordinating open gyms through the school district.
So I'd like to just move us along. We have people here who want to comment and we have until 4 o'clock. So I do feel like we need to, we can always revisit this if there's time left in the meeting. But I want to make sure we get to what we need to get to. So thank you, Ryan.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. We're going to move on to the public comment period of the meeting. Could I just get a show of hands of how many people plan to comment? Maybe 1, 2, 3, maybe. Okay, so we can do, I don't know, you think we should,
Do you want to do
Go.
a staff resolution first? Well, maybe before commission deliberates on a action.
well, yeah, I'm thinking we just let the folks who want to comment. Mr. Chair, can I make a first? Sure, your name?
Yeah, Kevin Murray. Can I suggest you guys maybe review the facts because there's a lot of
Okay.
unknown facts.
Yeah, I think the
25-year thing.
Sure. Okay, well, it's gonna have to be brief, Jason.
Well, I would direct the public, Kevin, to the results from the presentation that was shared following the December 13th workshop. We're not going to go over all the facts because we just don't have time. We've done that many times, including at the workshop on December 15th. But we will start with the survey results, and all these, I think 7 out of our 9 commissioners were there on December 13th, and there were about 70 members of the public at that workshop. That was mostly a facilitator-led workshop. I maybe used 30 minutes of the 90 minutes, and close to an hour of it was these individuals at this table facilitating conversations at table groups. So at the time of the workshop, we had 400 or so responses to the community survey. Over the weekend following the workshop, we garnered another 500 responses. So I will share those survey responses just for the public who may not have seen that final results, which were posted to the recreation page and in the paper following that workshop. But here's the first slide. You had about 50%, 43% identified as city residents, and the other 57% were either county, city of Dover, Ponderay, Kootenai, or non-Bonner County residents, just to give you an idea of the 900 or so respondents that we had to the survey at the time that I did the analysis. The survey structure, it was, let's see, there we go, a little delay. The survey asked respondents to score 9 different potential alternative uses for the RV park site. on a scale of 0 to 10 against two sets of criteria. And there were three pairs. So there was a pair of criteria, then another pair of criteria, and a third pair of criteria. And that's what you're going to see on the next three slides is how the nine alternative uses scored against three different pairs of criteria. So the pairs were desirability versus feasibility, public recreation value versus economic benefit to parks, and then peak season benefit versus benefit throughout the year. So after 900 responses, these were the results to those. And what I did was I just tallied that. Now we did end up with like 2x2 matrices that we could see, but I determined that it's just easier to add up the total score and see them. The bar chart's so much easier to comprehend rather than the scatter plot with dots on a 2x2 matrix. So what I've done is just added up the total score for the 9 different options for these different pairs of criteria. So for desirability versus feasibility, a renovated RV park scored highest, followed by community event space, followed by multi-use lawn, open green space with a playground, food truck court, winter ice rink that could be used for a summer sport or event space. Vehicle parking or boat trailer parking was 6th, and multi-sport court 7th, skate park or bike skills plaza 8th, and boat storage or dry moorage was 9th. So that's the first pair of criteria. We'll go on to, and if you have questions, you can ask them after we get through the little presentation here. Public recreation benefit versus economic benefit to the park system. The renovated RV park again scored highest, followed by community event space. Ice rink ranked 3rd, that could be used for a summer sport or event space. Food truck court 4th, multi-use open lawn green space, and so on. And then the final pair of criteria were peak season versus year-round benefit. Obviously, like the skate rink kind of moved up on this one. That would be a utilization that could be used throughout the winter, of course. RV park again remained at the peak. Community event space, winter ice rink, multi-use open lawn green space, food truck court. So the top 5 ultimately were what you see here, and the total number of votes that they received across all 6 criteria. RV park, renovated RV park, top, followed by community event space, multi-use lawn or open space with playground, food truck court, and an ice rink in the winter with multi-use or sports space in the summer. So there was a staff report. How many of you had a chance to read the staff report? Obviously, this is one component of our community engagement around the RV park site. The heavily participated, heavily attended community workshop was another one. So you guys were the ears during that one, not me. I didn't float it around the room, but mostly it was you guys hearing what people said. So I don't want to talk very much during the next 45 minutes. I think this is an opportunity to let you guys carry it forward. How do you want to move forward? I made some recommended motions at the end of the staff report. I'll put that up just so people can see what ended up in there. Yep. Stop sharing and then share again. So the staff report published on our website, if you didn't have a chance to read this, it is on the meetings page on the city website for this meeting. We should review just briefly the financial considerations. After the staff report goes through the survey results, kind of recaps the community workshop, but just a reminder of the financial considerations. The city has been awarded and has accepted a $950,000 grant from the state RV fund, recreation vehicle fund, that comes from registration fees for RVs in the state of Idaho. We have committed, this body committed $50,000 of parks capital improvement funds. And with that, we're planning to do a $1 million renovation of the existing RV park in its location. And I do want to share a response I got from the grant administrator for the state of Idaho when I asked whether there was flexibility on the location of RV sites, if we could perhaps relocate some of the RV sites out of the current footprint of the RV park into the other part of City Beach Park, or incorporate non-RV amenities that are open to park users besides RV guests? And the answer was, if it wasn't described in your grant application, it cannot be approved. So we cannot locate RV sites outside of the footprint of the existing RV park. Unless an amenity is primarily for use by RV park customers, we can't use RV funds to build it. So the answer wasn't a hard no on it. If we build a picnic shelter near the water and RV park users use it and the public can also use it, the answer wasn't hard no. Has to be primarily an amenity for the RV park. If we build a restroom facility, it has to be primarily for RV park users. So I wanted to share that with the committee because some of the discussion at the December 15th meeting was, well, maybe we can put the RV park somewhere else. No, we can't put an RV park somewhere else. With these funds, we'd have to cancel this grant and maybe reapply in the future if we could find a different location for an RV park.
Was there any discussion on like the schedule or timing of the grant in terms of?
I didn't even mention that we were having these discussions in Sandpoint right now. But my experience with these state IDPR grants is that if by May of this year we can't demonstrate that we're making forward progress on the RV park, that grant will expire. If we are under contract with an engineering firm, if we have early design concepts by May, they will extend our grant and give us another year to spend the money. That's no problem.
What's the current like grant agreements on or sunset date or expiration?
Like June. Yeah, but that'll be extended. As long as we're doing an RV park, they'll extend it. If by June or May we're still having this discussion in Sandpoint, that grant's going to expire, just like it did in Bonner County a few years ago. The county lost their $650,000 RV grant at the fairgrounds because they got in a big fight over what to do with that site.
Josh, just jump in. You don't have to raise your hand. Just interject. We'll get something.
Yeah, one of the suggestions at my table was that we build the restroom facility so that it kind of faces closer towards the beach and then have it be a shared facility. And so based on what you just said, Jason, it would have to be primarily for the RV park. And what they had talked about doing is maybe like splitting it down the middle so that half of it was showers and a restroom that could only be accessed with like a key card. And then maybe the back half is just like a single use bathroom, something smaller. Do you think that would qualify since the majority of the building would be used for the RV park with maybe just a little small access on the other side?
Just comes down to where dollars come from. If we're going to provide something that's not for RV park users, it's going to come from another funding source.
Okay. Got it.
So we can't do it. In addition to the $1 million we had budgeted for the RV park renovation, the RV park does gross around $100 to $110,000 a year, and nets about $80,000 a year that goes into the park's capital improvement fund. Net being, we've spent on average $20,000 a year just maintaining and up. We upgraded the electrical a couple years ago, so $80,000 that goes into the fund that you guys make recommendations for. How we can improve other parks. That's, helping pay for the new basketball courts this year. So the $80,000 is an important, it's not huge in the overall $50 million budget of the city, but in our parks capital improvement budget, which is only between $300,000 and $500,000 a year, that's the second largest component. Okay. Yeah. So just to bring it towards the end here, you kind of have some options. This body the goal today is for you guys to make a recommendation to City Council how to proceed. You can recommend proceeding with the RV park renovation while continuing long-term planning for the greater City Beach area. Of course, we have a City Beach Parks Master Plan that's probably $100 million to implement. So that's not that we have to throw that out. It's just that it's not something we're going to do in the next 5 years. You can recommend that council pursues one of the other alternatives from the survey. You could recommend some hybrid approach. That might maybe incorporates a smaller RV park with some community event space as well, knowing that we don't have funding for the half of the area that wouldn't be used for an RV park. Or you can recommend that they, go back and do some further community engagement. That's another thing you can do as well. So I will leave it to you guys to discuss now. And I put the posters up. We didn't get a whole lot of really valuable concepts on the posters. Some people just doodled. But there are some ideas that were shared on the posters at our meeting that you're welcome to get up and explore. So Taylor, back to you.
Yeah, we're gonna, did any commissioners have anything for Jason before we move on to public comments? Because we do need to get to those before we can discuss. Hold your comment, please.
Yeah, any questions about the process, the survey? If any of the commissioners have questions about the history of the location or anything, we can discuss those, but that's been presented.
Right.
quite thoroughly.
So we are gonna move on to the public comment, period, portion of the meeting. General comment time provides an opportunity for members of the public in attendance to address the commission regarding items included on today's agenda under old business or new business. For the purpose of a general public forum, you're welcome to comment on any topic pertinent to the business of the city of Sandpoint, not included on the agenda and not anticipated or scheduled for a future public hearing. I'd like to make everyone aware that the city does have a policy on public meeting decorum. The rules are posted just outside the chamber entry doors. In summary, I would ask that everyone please be pleasant and respectful, not make derogatory statements about others, including city staff, not be disorderly and disruptive, no calling out, clapping, or holding up signs. Public comment time is for comments only, no questions or debate. You are welcome to contact the Community Planning and Development Director, Jason Welker, during regular business hours if you have any questions or concerns. This is the only general public comment time that will be offered during this meeting. Those attending remotely who wish to speak may raise a hand on Zoom at this time. When called upon by the board chair, and it is your turn to speak, please state your name and whether you reside in Sandpoint city limits. Because we are rather short on time, each speaker will have a minute and a half to speak. Who would like to begin? Sure.
Jason, I know you've done a ton of work on this.
Just could you state your name and whether are you a Sandpoint resident?
Business owner in Sandpoint.
Okay.
But Jason, I know you've done a ton of work on this grant. All in good faith. The situation now because the April basically said the RV park is not so desirable when you're building a nice resort. And they've offered to give you same amount of money that the city would generate. And this public is basically saying we hate developers and we would now want the RV park. But on that survey, we should have been honest. We should ask an honest question. How many city residents, how many Sandpoint County residents, it's called people live in Sandpoint in the county, like me, I have a Sandpoint address, are actually going to take their RV to this park? It's going to be close to zero. And that we have to be honest about that. Because if this is not for Sandpoint residents, why are we doing it? We can always say big bad developer, but if we can get something better, why aren't we getting something better? Because the Aprils are willing to give you money so you can build something that Sandpoint residents are actually going to use. That means more to me and to more of our local residents than having an RV park, despite what their visceral reaction always is. Like, if the developer wants it, then we don't want it. So we want the RV. That just doesn't make common sense. You're not doing your job at this community and provide them with what they actually need. We're not answering that question. What does the city actually think? If we can get something better than an RV park that residents are actually going to use, let's do it. And Jason, you made one comment.
I gotta wrap you up. I'm sorry.
Okay, that's it.
Yeah. Thank you for your comments. Sir.
Excuse me, my name is Dick Mullally. I'm a resident of Dover. And the reason I wanted to address you is I have owned more RV spaces in this county than anyone in history. I manage more. I've owned 4 waterfront RV parks, 2 here on this lake. I've designed and developed 10 RV parks. And I would tell you from experience, because I'm older than all of you put together, the numbers that you're using for expenses are not correct. They are so far off that it will be embarrassing if you build this RV park and use the actual expenses. And I can give you all the facts, but I can't in a minute and a half. But these numbers are not correct. If and when someone builds a quality RV park, which, full disclosure, I've had many, I'm building one right now in Ponderay. This facility will go vacant. It was in the eighties and the nineties and the 2000s when I ran all of the RV parks at Trestle Creek. I never lost a tenant to the RV park in the city, but I got hundreds and hundreds of tenants who spent one night and left to came to my park. The numbers are not correct. I can give them to you. I can show you that this will not even break even once you develop it. Finally, you're going to have a $950,000 grant. Whose money is it? It's not money from heaven, okay? It's taxpayers' money.
Okay,
If you-
sir,
if this-
I gotta cut you off there.
If this goes
Thank you for
under,
your
you will
time.
have to pay it back.
Your
And that
comments.
will go under in the next.
Who's next? Ma'am?
Hi, Kimberly Anderson. I guess I have a alternative opinion, and that is having come through Sandpoint in the eighties, all those types of things like the RV park was what was so attractive about the area. It's very unique. I've lived in a lot of places. I am a truck camper. You're right. People from Sandpoint probably aren't going to camp there, but family members of people from Sandpoint would, at least my family members would. And I am absolutely for that project.
Thank you.
Harry Logan. So at our table, there was one woman whose family uses that, from the city of Sandpoint, uses that campground all the time. They have friends and family who come out of the area and they have gatherings down there. So there are sampling that use that facility.
Thank you. Sir?
Yeah, Kevin Murray, I've been a Sandpoint resident property owner for over 15 years. And you have to preface every comment on this topic by saying, I don't support A-roll. I don't think they value this town enough. But with that said, I think this RV park is a horrible idea. Reason it's coming out so great on your survey on topic is that because it's generating revenue. Question, I'll defer to him on the revenue, but revenue figures are flawed, and so is your incremental payback on $1 million. The other issue is that your master plan for $100 million ain't worth the paper printed on, obviously. So why not do a real plan that really cost conscious and looks at redesigning that whole property? Because the one thing you have there is it's always going to be a funnel trying to get pedestrians and cars and boats down there. And this is only going to make it worse between the April property and the RV park property. So don't accept this grant and look for another location and do it there. Re-envision how traffic flows into City Beach, and you can direct boat traffic right to the right through there and get it away from other parks. You can create a turnaround in there for people who just want to drop off, pick up. This RV park, terrible.
Okay, thank you. Sir?
My firm is Actis Project Management. I'm an owner's rep. I do represent the Alberta Hospitality. So first, I want to thank you guys for your time that you invested in the workshop. It was great. I think that you had a chance to have a discussion with people and clear up questions or concerns. It was good to have that dialogue. I think that it identified that there's an openness to alternate solutions or ideas for that space. So I think keeping that in mind. I think that the commitment of the grant, the 25-year commitment, is something that should be considered. That there's some concerns about the analysis of the cost of maintaining that RV park during that time, and it will actually offset those costs. I think that we have a good partner with the Outlaws that are willing to invest in the community, whether it's an offset for the community enhancement fund that would offset the revenue that's generated by that, help city programs for maintenance, capital improvements, bring back programs like the lifeguard program. These are all things that would enhance not only resort, but also for the community and for the visitors, things that we're not able to currently support because we don't have that. And I think that to
make this really a valuable asset for everybody, there needs to be that public-private.
Thank you. Is there anybody else? Yes, ma'am.
Harry Pardini, city resident. I was at the table with you, Taylor, and we had come up with kind of a multi-use area for it with boat storage and restrooms. And I still think that that is a good plan. And I know we're not supposed to ask questions, but I asked Jason, does this have to be completely restricted and totally for just the RV? Or can it be open for RV users and the community? Because in that case, Josh's plan where the restrooms were on one side and then the RV people had a key card or whatever to get into the showers seemed very, very good to me. And if we're not restricted, we're not saying the RV people can't use the other bathrooms. We're not restricting them from it. We're just saying City Beach, maybe they can't use the showers, which I don't know that I like that either, because we kind of need showers. But anyhow, I like Josh's idea. And I wanted to know about if it had to be exclusive to RV. I've lived here for 47 years and I worked for the school district for 31. And my experience with developers is that when they're offering you money, it usually comes with strings attached. So I would just caution that what they promise you, if it's not in writing and agreed upon in a contract, and even then, the city seems to have a problem with adhering to contractual agreements. So just careful. And I just say, do the trade back. If Averill wants the parking space, trade back and take our lawn back.
Thank you. Okay, that will conclude the public comment portion of our meeting. Thank you all who spoke today. Appreciate it. And we will now discuss. First off, just thank you, Jason, for the staff report. That I think brought a lot of clarity to everything. So thank you for that. I guess my initial thoughts will lead us off are just that I don't feel in the grand scheme of things, 25 years is a long time. When we look at how long we would have to operate an RV park, 25 years, it goes by fast. So I think we should just take that into consideration. Does anybody else want to jump in with their thoughts? I mean, the survey results were pretty clear, and whether that's a visceral reaction to a developer or not, I do think that they were pretty clear that the community does not want to be beholden to that revenue source depending on private entity. So I think that's important to note as well. I think that there are still some questions regarding like Josh's proposal. And perhaps it could be done in stages where the RV park funds are used to, say, lay the groundwork and infrastructure in the area. And then the city comes in and builds, public facilities at a later date. Based on my table's feedback, and I've heard people say is that they support the RV park. They would like for the entire area to be cleaned up. There's kind of the cemetery hedges there. And over towards the south end of the parcel by the boat launch there is some unirrigated land that's kind of full of thistle and could be put to much better use. So that's kind of the feedback that I got. Our options today as Jason went over, are to move forward with the RV park. Recommend continued evaluation of high scoring alternative uses, phased hybrid strategy, just on flexibility and risk management. And, you know, we aren't going to be the ones who make the final call on this. This is our recommendation to city council. And so, in my opinion, based on the workshop that we did, the survey results, having lived in Sandpoint since 2012, and knowing that the RV park is our second largest income source, I am in favor of recommending proceeding with the RV park, while also looking at what we can do to move forward with improvements that are not just for the park users.
I guess piggybacking on, sorry,
Go ahead.
piggybacking on what you had to say. One of the ideas, top five, I think, scoring was some community event space or maybe market space or something. The utility infrastructure that would go into support an RV park, water, sewer, would also accommodate food trucks or other vendors that might utilize some utilities in the future as well. So speaking of the 25-year term, $100+ million master plan that's got $0 dedicated to it, the likelihood of being able to implement that $100 million plan in the next 25 years is probably pretty slim. But just operating on facts, today we have $950,000 grant, and we have a commitment, maybe. We have a statement of willingness, perhaps, to provide some annual contribution to the recreation fund, maybe do some upgrades, but the biggest concern I have there is there's no concrete proposal. We've got an expiration of a grant in May. We've got no concrete proposal for what the Averils are truly willing to do.
Yeah, Jason, when are they required to pay the building permit fees?
180 days from December 28th.
Okay. So this grant would expire before they would be required to commit to anything.
The grant doesn't expire if we've committed to moving forward with an RV park.
So we say we're not, if we say, oh, we're gonna take the Averils money and we're not gonna move forward with the RV park, and the Averils don't decide to build their hotel, we just lost the grant and we've got nothing for it. So I think that's a real concern.
The motion you could make, a recommendation you could make could be to, if the discussion goes to the conclusion that perhaps something other than an RV park is desired for the community first, for greater than an RV park, the recommendation to council could be pursue discussions with the Averils about funding whatever preferred alternative you recommend, with the RV park being the fallback. We don't have to commit today to not doing an RV park, is what I'm saying.
Got it.
The recommendation could be, you know, as long as by May we've wrapped this up, we've got a contractor in place for design and engineering for an RV park, we'll be able to continue with the RV park. But it doesn't have to be a final decision or recommendation to pursue an RV park now, if the discussion over the next 30 minutes concludes that something other than an RV park is desired.
Well, and back to certainties, the only certainties we have today is either assuming the Averils go forward with their plan. When they open, they either have a brand new RV park next door or the completely derelict RV park that's there today. That's the only certainties we have. You're choosing one of those two options.
Yeah.
Absent a formal proposal, legally binding.
Yep. Glenn, just jump in when you have something to say.
Yeah.
Okay. Jason, how confident do you feel in the operation expenses of the RV park, like to Mr. Vallely's point? once this $950,000 infrastructure would be put in place, do you think it will be about $20,000, or did you have to in the grant talk about those expenses might go up? Because I don't offhand remember what.
The expenses will definitely go up. I mean, generally for parks facilities, you want to budget around 5% of the total construction cost just to maintain it. So $50,000 just to maintain it. But operating a modern RV park is going to come with additional expenses as well. So if we have to, there's going to be we're upgrading the electrical. The electricity costs are going to go up, right? There's going to be more maintenance for the restroom. That's we're going to have to pay staff to maintain a restroom now. So yeah, I'd anticipate a baseline, just maintenance cost of $50,000 a year. But if we employ a staff person, but currently, like, part of the reason our costs are so ridiculously low there is because we put nothing into it since we took ownership 5 years ago, and there's zero staff allocated to running it besides Cami, who manages reservations as part of her duties as the parks admin.
So
But we know
what are
the
you
revenues are real.
forecasting?
Just revenue. Revenue has been between $100,000 and $110,000 with very little cost to the city to operate it. So the
Yeah, I
revenue figures
understand
are
that historically, but what are you projecting to be the revenue once the infrastructure isn't in place and after costs have been, is it going to stay at the 80,000-ish, or are you expecting that to go down or up? Like, have any projections been made?
Yeah, that's all been in previous staff reports as well, Gwen, including to commission and council. But I don't remember exactly what I estimated, but the revenues I'd estimate to go up by around 50% and the costs to go up similarly as well. So net revenues would go up by upwards of 50% as well. So I
You're
think,
not
yes.
concerned about that, obviously, it sounds like.
Do I think if we have $1 million RV park there, we'll make more money than we do with what we have now? Yes, I absolutely do. We'll be able to charge more. There'll be longer season because we'll have better amenities. Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
But just to be clear, like, we're not operating a private RV park like Mr. Valleli's are. I mean, this is very much a public facility that doesn't have the amenities that a private RV park would.
My table was interested in year-round income.
Sure. Yeah, if there's demand, why wouldn't we provide it? You get the right power hookups, you can run a heater there.
Taylor, I sat at a table that really no one was in favor of having an RV park. We all question why there's an RV park even there to begin with, up against railroad tracks. I guess I just feel like I'm in a weird spot, like I'm being forced to decide, like, RV park or whatever other ideas we come up with, and we don't have another idea. I haven't seen another proposal. I'd love to see some ideas of, okay, you have an RV park, you can have this really cool community space that I don't know what that looks like, and so I feel like we're being asked to choose between this and the unknown, and I don't know what the unknown is.
Yeah, I think that's valid.
I feel like the reason they got a lot of RV parks is people can't envision anything else. That's what it's been their whole lives, living in Sandpoint.
And I agree that nobody really cared about the RV park until, I'm glad we got a grant for it. That's awesome. That we were working on that. That's awesome, but it's like nobody really cared about it until, oh, somebody doesn't want it here now. So now we gotta.
It was part of the land swap with the hotel, right?
Right.
So the city saw it as a revenue stream, I'm sure, at the time.
Well, the
Great.
city had a parks master plan that envisioned relocating the boat launches to the side of the RV park. The dredging alone would cost $3 to $4 million to
Yeah.
make that possible.
Yeah,
So
there's no way.
that's why we're not relocating boat launches here.
So the
If we
revenue
had-
stream was like a convenient, temporary.
Just to remind everybody, we adopted a parks master plan and then we asked voters to pay for it by supporting the 1% tax. That tax failed at the ballot. So now we have a parks master plan with no funding for it. So we're back to the revenue we earn in our parks to do parks maintenance and improvements. So we're on a shoestring at the city standpoint. Sure, it makes a lot of sense to move the boat launch there, but that's probably a $10 million project to do all the infrastructure work to relocate the boat launches there. $10 million, we have $400,000 a year for parks. That's 20 years of parks capital improvement funds to move the boat launch. So when the state said, here's $1 million to do a improvement to your existing RV park, that's 2.5 years of parks funds right there.
Josh, did you wanna jump in there?
Yeah. So yeah, I agree with what was just said about, putting us in a tough spot. I've personally gone back and forth on this several times. I tend to lean towards what the survey says, but then at the same time, there's a lot of good points that have been brought up today included. and also during the other meeting. So it's kind of like, I think when I think about it, I feel rushed. I feel like a little bit rushed as far as maybe the RV park is good, but maybe we're rushing into making a decision. I also think people should consider the alternative of waiting and letting the revenue continue generating through the current RV park. I know we'd miss out on the grant, and we might still decide to do the renovated RV park down the road, and then we'd have to reapply for the grant. But just as an alternative, I'm thinking, what if we just wait and come up with some better ideas? Because I think, like what Tyler said, is that we're choosing between an RV park and an unknown, and we've got a lot of people brainstorming ideas, but where's the funding? How realistic are these ideas? And that's all something that we're going to need more time to figure that out. So while I was kind of leaning towards the renovated RV park, now I'm kind of leaning towards maybe the wait and see approach. And we do some more research and get some more feedback from the community and make sure that this is truly what we want to do. And in the meantime, we still have an RV park that is not great, but it is generating revenue.
Just when the second highest scoring across all criteria was a community event space, this is the kind of thing I think of when I think of a community event space near a downtown on the water. This is Missoula's Caris Park. Many of you have probably been there. They have markets there. They have concerts there. It's a covered canopy area. It could just so, I mean, if that's the decision the council made, was to pursue a community event space, this is what probably put as a template for a contractor to design and
And can we
engineer.
find out what kind of revenue that generates for us?
It's not, I mean, you could have private events in there, but generally it's an amenity, right? You're not talking about a revenue generator. You have a space like this, maybe a seasonal market would lease it for whatever.
So enough events in this town that should be
Probably not $100,000 revenue, but yes,
paying good money to have that space on a Saturday.
sure.
Problem with events at city beach is you're putting a strain on the park. You need more vehicles. So you're.
True.
Shoulder season, winter markets, holiday fairs, put an ice rink underneath the canopy. Now you're talking.
Well, how many ice rinks Bonner County can accommodate?
Eric,
Think about the 20-year future. That
did you
the
wanna
ice rink
chime in
Bonner
there?
will be there in 5 years.
Yeah,
when they build
I
their-
think one thing we can all agree on is that the parking and the entry and the way that the people can walk and bike into the beach right there at that particular intersection is a problem. I think we can all agree with that. So we can all come with one idea that we at least agree upon and present that to the city. I don't want to just run out of time, and I agree with, we all feel rushed. I love everybody's aspect, but I think we can all agree that that is a problem. Kids biking in that particular area, cars, and I don't know the solution, but that needs an improvement no matter what. And I think we can all agree upon that. So whatever we do, I'd like to emphasize, if we do agree, that needs to be fixed. Like, it's just long term. It looks like crap. It's not safe for kids. It's just everything right there is a problem.
Agreed. Um. Yeah, I guess. I know a ton of Sandpoint residents don't stay there. I've never stayed there. I've never had family stay there. But I do value it. I think it's cool. I think it's cool that families can pull up a trailer and stay right at the beach, right downtown. They don't have to pay, I don't know what, $200+ a night for a hotel. I think it's kind of a quirky, cool thing that Sandpoint has, and so I just wanted to chime in with that. I know it's not related to what you just said, Eric, but I actually do value that amenity.
Well, and I think, like someone said earlier, why do we even have an RV park right by a railroad? Well, I think it just kind of came about because of the opportunity. And it's just like, what else are we going to do with this property? It's generating revenue. It's just kind of one of those quirky properties that, maybe it is best suited for something like that. But again, I come back to just not knowing if that's really in the public's best interest, and maybe we need to spend some more time figuring out if that's what council wants to do, and if that's what we want to do.
What would be our next count or meeting?
Today, 4 weeks. Yeah.
Yeah. Colton, did you
Would
wanna
it, would it make
provide
sense
some
to
background?
give that time frame, given what we know about the grant? Give the Averills time to either come with a concrete formal proposal that's legally binding or not? And we'll know more at that time.
I think what council needs to hear is, does this commission recommend negotiating and entering into negotiations with the Averils around an alternative use? Or does this commission recommend reject that offer, move forward with the RV park?
Well, the timing matters of that too, I think, for public and probably members of the commission in terms of are you negotiating until May and the grant expires and.
Yeah, you can give a recommend that,
Yeah.
within the next 2 months, if nothing can be agreed upon. Because we need to be under contract for the RV park by May.
Jason, can I ask a question? What? You're saying that the RV park generates about $80,000 of revenue that we can put towards our community parks, correct? So is there anything else in Sandpoint that is currently providing that for our community?
Yeah,
But that's it. It's like quick drop off
it's
after that,
marina,
right?
RV park, field.
Oh,
So
yeah.
we're
The
still
Traverse
getting revenue for our parks. We would just be possibly, like if we did the event center, like you said, we'd possibly be removing $80,000 and not getting money.
I encourage you to think not just of the costs, but also of the benefits. Right now, if we pursued an alternative use this location, the cost could be, $80,000 reduced revenue for the parks capital improvement fund. But if there's an alternative use there that provides benefit to the community
Right.
beyond an RV park, then maybe that's something that we're willing to do, right?
No,
So I
I'm
think
saying actually the opposite. I'm saying we're still getting funds from other places, so it's not like we're solely relying on this.
it's
RV.
21% of our parks capital improvement fund comes from the RV park right now. So, but if it became a park facility
Yeah,
paid for by the Averils or by another grant or something
yeah,
that wasn't an RV park, that provided seasonal year-round benefit to the community,
Yeah.
then we can view that as something that we don't have to pay for in the future with parks capital improvement funds.
right. You can put a dollar amount on that.
Yeah.
Kind of, yeah.
Yeah.
No, I agree.
So we do have to reach some decision today as to whether it's to table this, or we want to come with a recommendation to council.
Does anybody feel ready to make a motion for a specific recommendation?
I
You
mean,
can always make a motion, and if it fails, it's fine.
sure.
Something
Can I say something really quick?
Yeah,
So, I mean, I'm there every day, and I know that certain Sandpoint residents don't want it, some do. But during the summer, I mean, even as it kind of is now, and I'm saying it's kind of a derelict RV park right now. It's packed, and the people that are there, even though it may not be the nicest, they're loving it. They're there multiple days. I mean, I have 3 different groups that come there, and they've been doing this for over 14 years, each group. Some of them, they have relatives in the area and they come and like to stay here because of that. And their grandkids come and they come and hang out at the lake and they're using the water. They're using the park facility. It is unique. It is awesome in its own right. It could use a lot of work. But it is something that not only out of town are using, but also the kids, also, families. It's a area that people come. Kind of what Sandpoint's about in a sense too, is I know that a lot of people don't want to think that we're a tourist town, but we kind of are. And How do you, if you don't have an RV park, how are you gonna have RV tourists?
Well, I have something to piggyback onto that, well, which is, it's my experience, just observation. And actually, I looked this morning for some statistics and, the data would support it, that a large reason that people choose to RV travel in the first place is because they have pets. And there's a lot of places you just cannot integrate your pet into the lodging options or rentals or what have you. And so it offers you a lot of freedom and autonomy to include your pet. It's a very family-friendly thing to do. People that have disabilities or other limitations that, again, don't maybe integrate well into traditional lodging, especially things with stairs and what have you. There's just a lot of reasons people are drawn to RVs. There's more and more people that are working remotely that are living mobily too now, more than ever, right? So I think you have to not all camping and RVing exists out in the pristine forest lands and mountain streams and all of that. That's some people's dreams, but other people maybe just need an affordable way to come and enjoy the downtown. And that is not an RV park because somebody envisioned, oh, let's put an RV park underneath the rail line. It's because that was donated and that was that was what was available. And when you look this way and you look out, it looks great. Yeah, I mean, I realize there's a railroad above you, but if it wasn't well liked and well attended, people wouldn't show up. So there are people coming. I don't know. I guess I think there must be people coming and using that because it fits their price point, it fits their lifestyle, it meets the metrics they want, and it meets the location. Those folks are probably walking over the bridge street and going into town and eating and dining and having ice cream and buying burgers at places in town, right? They're bringing revenue to our community. I think we need to remember that's a whole segment. There's a lot of people that are doing that. And if you displace them, they'll go somewhere else, but maybe they take their revenue and their recreation with them.
In an effort to try and, take note of the time, is there somebody who is interested in making like the motion as drafted as A? Because I'm leaning towards that. Again, I think of your comments and I also think of the comments like there's nothing else on the plate and we definitely have a master plan and we don't have any budget. And the thought of losing this money to me seems irresponsible. And I think that if the Averils came up with a plan, in the next month, that whatever motion we make might include re-examining it if there is a legal binding type something presented that would change our minds. But in my opinion, something is better than nothing. And this is money we have. And it seems timely. We need to start to move in that direction unless, something is presented that is better.
I'd be happy to make a notion. I'd like to make a notion to move forward with the RV park. And if we receive a official document, legal binding letter from the Averils by the end of the month, not messing around and dragging this out any farther, then we readdress it with the caveat of the most important thing is to fix the safety entering the RV park in that particular area and move forward with this.
Somebody want to second that?
You can still discuss after a second, by the way.
Sure, I'll second it. So that is just to reiterate, moving forward, proceeding with the RV park, however, allowing, moving forward with the RV park at this time, but recommending to council, that if the Averils have not brought them some plan, I guess I need to back up because I'm not sure.
Just for the record, for the sake of process, did you second the motion?
I did, yeah.
You should probably open it up for the commissioners to discuss.
Oh, yeah.
And I would recommend amending that motion to say the end of February, because this won't even go to council until February 4th, the end of January. So if the motion is to recommend moving forward with the RV park, but to give the Averils till the end of the month, I would say, make sure that is the month of February to come with a legally binding offer for an alternative, for funding of an alternative use to the RV park. That's the motion that was seconded. So now it's up for discussion.
I guess having seconded it, I think the purpose of our workshop was to find out what the community wanted and not to drag this out longer just to give Averils time.
That also is the edict of Counselor Dick, right? Like that was the
Right.
whole at the council meeting was.
Right. And let's be clear, the Averils have known that they didn't want an RV park here and started proposing this back in September. And so while I seconded that motion, I will be voting no on it.
Any other discussion?
I'd probably vote no the way it's kind of structured. I'm just looking for, I want more for City Beach. I want a better option. I want to see a better option. I guess my motion, if I had choice, no, I know I'm not making one.
We're gonna vote on the first motion.
Right,
before you make
but I would say, I'd like to see a motion where we ask to get another alternative so that we can have choices to make.
I would agree with that because someone said, who I don't know who it was, at the meeting at the tennis center. It was kind of like what you were saying, well, we have an RV park for. And there was not there was nothing else, so there's not really another option at this point. And if we had allocated dollars coming from the hotel, and that was a concrete legal document, we could say, well, we have an RV park, or we could put the funds towards something a little more concrete that we could actually imagine our community using, because right now it's the RV park or we don't know.
This talk about, like, I understand the idea of wanting to come with like a legal agreement, but tell me how that's really different from leasing the RV park, because then we've entered into, our hands are tied once we're entered into that. So I don't see it as very much of a difference from what was proposed at city council, that they lease or buy it.
My thoughts on it could
What
be,
you said makes sense.
yeah, legally binding could be, we'll dedicate this amount of money for the city to implement something else there, whatever that something else could be. I don't think that's a lease. I can't speak to, they did talk about willing to donate some annual,
right,
try to replace I think it was up to 150% or what. Heard all kinds of different numbers there, even from the Averils and their reps. I haven't heard a consistent number there. But that would be necessarily attached to the RV park. That would be attached to the action of us doing something else there other than an RV park. So I don't see either of those as being a lease per se, but a big picture. Appreciate all the discussion. I won't be voting on any of the actions to council, since there could be a conflict of interest with me making a formal recommendation.
Okay. Any more discussion before we vote on Eric's motion?
I think if Eric, I don't know if you're looking at it, but in the staff report, in the motion, like as a sample, I think part of that says, while directing staff to incorporate design or operational improvements that enhance public access and community benefit, and to periodically reevaluate the site's long-term use as funding opportunities and community priorities evolve, might be prudent to include.
I think that might be a different motion though, because Eric's was sort of unique from the sample motions in that it included a deadline by which a formal funding offer from the Averils for an alternative use would be expected. So maybe we just vote on Eric's motion first.
Call for vote.
Okay.
Can I get a roll call vote?
Okay.
Three. Jessica?
No.
Heidi? Taylor?
No.
No.
And then you were recruiting.
Yeah.
Okay, and Eric? Yes. Gwen?
I'm a no.
Josh.
Josh, did he leave or?
No, that's a no from me.
Thank you, Josh.
Okay, motion fails. Would somebody like, I would entertain another motion.
I'll make a motion. I like option A after reading it a little bit more in detail because it does offer some flexibility there. And, if something came up between now and when city council makes their decision, I'm sure they can make that decision on their own without, our recommendation having much weight. So, with that being said, I would make a motion to go with option A
Option A as written, you're saying?
as written.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we need you to read it,
Please read it,
Josh.
Okay. Recommend proceeding with the RV park renovation while continuing long-term planning.
Actually, Josh, there's a,
Sample?
read it as it's written. So I move. 'Cause you gotta say those, it helps you say
Okay,
those
and
words.
then do you want me to read the entire paragraph or just that top?
Yeah, the whole thing. 'Cause people in the public don't have the staff report, so they
Got
need to
it.
hear it.
Okay. I recommend a motion for proceeding with the RV park renovation while continuing long-term planning. Under the
Josh, I think you're reading
Look
something
on the,
different.
look on the next page, Josh. There's a sample motion for you. You can just read it as it's
It's under
written.
the action.
Yeah, last page.
Okay, gotcha. Sorry. Okay, so I make a motion to proceed with the RV park renovation and future reevaluation. I move that the Parks and Rec Commission recommend to the City Council that the city proceed with the renovation of the City Beach RV Park utilizing currently secured funding, while also directing staff to incorporate design or operational improvements that enhance public access and community benefit, and to periodically reevaluate the site's long-term use as funding opportunities and community priorities evolve.
I will second that motion. Yeah.
Discussion is, you accept that money, it's 25 years, you're running it as the RV park in a similar fashion to what we agreed to do with the grant money, so to reevaluate as priorities evolve, I don't think that's relevant, you can't do that at least within the next 25 years.
Well, between now and when they decide to move forward with it, right? Isn't it May? So if something came up in the meantime, someone makes a fat proposal or puts
You're
up
saying
money.
someone bring in the Hail Mary or else a new
Yeah.
RV park's going in.
Yep.
Any further discussion before we vote? Okay, we'll do a roll call.
Eric?
Yes.
And Gwen?
Yes.
And Heidi? Jessica?
Yes.
Josh?
Yes.
Taylor?
Yes.
And Tyler?
No.
Oh, and Lori, sorry.
Yes.
Was that everybody? So that was what? 5, 6, 7, 4? Seven yeas, one nay, one abstaining, the motion passes. And
This goes to the February 4th council meeting?
Yeah,
Okay.
correct.
later next week.
Is that all we need for the,
Yeah,
for the vote on that?
so we'll bring that recommendation to council at the February 4th meeting. Of course, the decision's theirs ultimately, but thank you for your time and your work, and really for the workshop, guys. That was great. Thank you so much for supporting that workshop on December 13th. Wouldn't have been possible without you. So
I would,
I-
yeah. Thank you.
I would like to add something to the agenda for next meeting. I would like to present some information to the Parks and Rec Commission about Baldfoot and just open up a discussion about it. So I'll bring some materials and whatnot, but I'm hoping we can have a little bit of time for next meeting to discuss.
yeah, just send those materials to Taylor, Tammy, and we'll get on. Yeah.
Will
Yep.
do.
Yep. Thanks, Josh. Unless anybody has anything else, I'm gonna go ahead and adjourn. Do you have anything? With no further business before the commission, this meeting is now adjourned at 4:11 PM.
Taylor, please.
Yeah.
Thank you,
guys.
Taylor. Great.
Thank you.
Guys.
Adios.
Yeah, thanks, Daniel.